Okay, what's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a fantastic. I had to look actually Thursday. I don't even know what day it is. Thursday, and hopefully everyone that's tuning in, you're having a good day so far. As you all know, I'm going to ask this question: where are you tuning in from? So we'll see everyone where they're at and what's going on, and then Darren and Aaron. I actually did not plan for that to actually rhyme in the way that it did. To be fair, now that I'm saying it out loud, but how's y'all's day going?
Very good, thank you. That's the only reason we're here.
It's because of rhyme.
Yeah, man,
we're not actually experts, just the name.
I love. We'll go in like alphabetical order since it's A and D. Aaron goes first, moving forward, and then yeah, man, it's good. Life is good. It's a beautiful day. I might go play some golf later. Who knows? But now I'm about to, talk about all things, whatever we're going to talk about.
How good is your golf game, Darren? I feel like you're in the trenches.
I don't know. I could shoot 78 or 108. I don't know. It just depends on the day and the course.
I feel like ever since I moved here to Arizona, the pressure of now doing golf has heightened.
Yeah, that's fair.
Everyone's like, "Oh, you need to golf now." I'm like, "Top golf, I got you on that."
Well, you're a gamer. Did you see the 100 Thieves golf outing?
I did. It was sick.
Yeah, it's great.
It was sick. It was sick. So, all right, y'all, we're gonna dive right in, and we're gonna have a good time today. And the main thing that we're going to be discussing and going over is how to optimize your profile and how to stand out. And I have some amazing guests here today that are going to help you do that. But real quick, I want to get an assessment from everybody in the audience on a scale of 1 to 5. 5 being like you're the greatest of all time. 1 being like, you're okay, like you're just getting started. What would you rate your LinkedIn profile and your LinkedIn skills as a whole? Where would you rate yourself as of today? I'm actually just very curious where people are at. So we got some 2s, 1s. Okay, some 3s, 3.5, 2.5. Okay. 3s, 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 2s, 2s, 2s. 6. Wow, this is elite level.
6. They need to be
6.
on here.
Yeah, I know. I should bring them up if you're 6. That's crazy. All right, so we got a wide range of people. So that's really fantastic. I love it. And again, this is going to be very conversational. So if you have a question, please put it in the Q&A. If you want to raise your hand and come up here, you also can do that as well. That's great. We want to be able to see that too. And then if you want to just have your profile viewed in real time, you could throw it in the chat, or you can come up here and you can talk to us and we'll actually help you in real time. So these are all things that are happening. But before we do that, you're probably wondering who are these people that are up here. So let's go into the intros. And Aaron, if you want to introduce yourself, and then also let's provide a fun fact. Let's liven it up today. So intro to yourself. What's going on with you? What's happening? And then also give us a fun fact.
Put me on the spot with the fun fact. So yeah, let's jump into it. So my name's Aaron. Apologies. Yeah, so I'm the founder of a company called Outbound OS. So my whole goal is to help SaaS sellers and teams book more meetings with systems and frameworks. Fun fact. I am actually moving to Thailand next year. Don't know how fun that is, but it's going to be fun for me. So that's my fact. There we go.
That's awesome. I can come visit, man. That's dope. I love it.
That is awesome.
I'm Darren McKee. Outside of work, I'm a dad. I got 2 little ones. I got an 8-year-old and 5-year-old. I'll start with the unique fact. Barely graduated high school. Flunked out of college like multiple times. And then I was like, man, there's sales out there. And so it's the greatest profession in the world that requires not much degree on the back end. So that's where I ended up. Now I just founded my own company about a month and a half ago after running it on the side for the last couple of years. And my goal is to help individuals, whether you're in sales, ops, finance, marketing, to uncover relationships and revenue that you never knew existed on LinkedIn. And so that's what I do, man. And I love every single well, not every moment of it. I love most of the moments.
I was like, being a founder, you love every single moment. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm working already. Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Dude, it's like the first. I think when you first start is like the highest euphoria that you'll ever have, because you're like, this is it. And then like 3 months after, you're like, wait, what's going on? You're like, what's actually happening? So it's all It's all part of the game. And then also from my perspective, I'm the host here. I host these Cognism, Whole Clong Lives, and content shows that we have. And I run my own business as well. And we help executives and founders create credible content that converts. And I'm really excited to have this conversation today because we have two people who are really good at this to dive in. So again, like I said, if you have questions, definitely throw them in there. But where we're going to start, I want to get an understanding of the most important thing, which is your LinkedIn profile and how to optimize it. So Darren, I want to start with you. You've posted a lot of times. You've been on the platform very deep in the past couple of years, and you've really taken like the craft very seriously. When you're looking at people's profile or even your own, how should people be optimizing it? Where should they be going first, especially for sellers in the room that are looking to obviously get more opportunities?
Yeah, so I always talk about this, but my next door neighbor has like 1 million followers on every platform, and he's a professional flatland scooterer, like the really trick scooters. And he
That's cool.
came up to me one day and he was like, "Hey man, you're teaching people how to do like 360 tail whips, and you really need to teach people how to do bunny hops. And once you teach people how to do bunny hops, then later you can funnel them and to teach them how to do other stuff." And so one of the things that I think about a lot when it comes to like LinkedIn profiles is we're trying to do too damn much, right? And so what I want you to think about on your profile is like, I think about this one thing, that subject line. I don't really give a darn if you're an account executive at Darren McKee Co. I want to know what you do. Tell me what you do in that headline. So when I land on there, I've got 0.65 seconds to understand what the heck you do, right? And so it's like, whatever that is for you, just like you're in the elevator, you got 2 seconds to explain it to someone, put that in your subject line. And then the other thing I think about too is like, when you're looking through the profile, like if it's not complete, if it's not filled out, if the pictures aren't good, if the banner's not good, like it just tells me that you don't really care. And as a buyer, I don't want to do business with people that don't care.
Yeah, that's actually a really good call. At every single training that I've ever done, I always the people get upset about it. I'm like, let's just call it out though. I always say, hey, like show of hands, how many of you all right now have like SDR AE in your bio, right? Half, like 80%. And then I'm like, okay, leaders, how many of you all are going to respond to that? Raise your hand. No one ever raised their hand. And then I'm like, okay, so what are we doing? I was like, what are we doing here, right? And so it's a visual that people get, is that like I've never heard anyone in the world ever say, wow, you know what, today I'm going to go on LinkedIn and search for SDRs and AEs to go talk to proactively about their solution. That's just not going to happen. So if you do, it's not you calling you out and saying you don't know what you're doing. It's just that's just the reality. So if you do today have SDR, AE, whatever it is, I would encourage you to do that, right? It's to what Darren's talking about, the bunny hop or the layup instead of the 360 flip, right? Tony Hawk style. So Darren, anything that you want to add to that before we go over to?
Nah, man, well, plenty of time. I can go into other stuff. I'll pass it over to Aaron.
All right, Aaron, talk to us.
Yeah, for sure. So to be honest, it's sort of like tying into what Darren's saying, because I think with the headline, a lot of people as well, they just make it so generic instead of talking about a specific outcome that they help their ICP get, right? So everyone, like, I can save you time, I can make you money, the most generic things ever. So I think it's important to sort of highlight who you help and what you help them achieve in that headline, like make it specific. So then when that person lands on your profile, again, they can sort of see, I can see how this person helps me. They do it for other people. And then, yeah, I think another part is sort of using your featured section. I feel like a ton of people, especially reps, they just leave it completely blank, or they have like a link to some random article from their company, but have a link there, have a lead magnet there, whether it's a resource, what can help your ICP, whether it's a link to book a conversation, just like Darren said, fill out your profile, use it to the max.
Are there different, you mentioned a couple of things. Are there things that reps can be using? Is it a book to link? Is it a case study? Any recommendations on where people can start here?
So I think it really depends on what resources your company gives you. I'm a huge fan of lead magnets. Like, I think every company can have a pretty decent lead magnet, which is just a resource that helps your ICP to achieve an outcome. So obviously, if you're selling to sellers, it could be some email templates. When I was at Revolut, if I'm selling to finance leaders, I can give them a cost calculator to work out their finances. Like, just give something for free that helps your ICP. because then again, they're getting value from you straight away. Plus, you can always put it behind an email, so then you get a point of contact. You can use that as your trigger for outreach and go from there. But yeah, lead magnets is the biggest thing that I'd always say.
I think about the featured section, Morgan, I think, and Aaron, like, I think about it this way. So you need to have one thing in the featured section that says like who you are as a human, right? Like it can be nothing about work. It can be nothing about what you do. It needs to be like, this is the person that I want to do business with, right? The second one is that case study, that testimonial, that cool story, that something that you did for a customer that changed their entire life. Again, nothing really about you. And then that third one is, yeah, you want to book time with me? Let's do it. Let's kick it. But like, you got to have the person, you got to have the case study, and then you got to have the place for somebody to be able to go. But if you miss that first step, man, it's just really, really hard now.
It is 100%. So we have the headline, we have the featured section. One thing I want to talk about though is the background cover. So what like I think whatever it's called, the banner, right? What should people put there, Darren? Is that like them on you said personal, so is that them on the beach, them hanging out? Like what do we need to do here?
Yeah, I've tried so many different things. To Morgan's point, I've shared over 4,000 pieces of content here. I think I've posted 1,700 and something days in a row. I've had so many different backgrounds. The one that has generated the most revenue, because listen, I'll just be honest with y'all on this call. Like, don't judge me for this. If I didn't make any money on this platform, ain't no way in heck I'd be here. And so,
but actually, that's actually the truth, though. Everyone's like, I'm just trying to connect, and it's like we all know why we're here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not coming here just to like hang out, right? I can go play golf or fish or do something. But like, once I put my like website with like my logo up at the top of my banner, I mean, I'm driving between 40 and 80 clicks to my website every single day via just having that up there, right? And so, I don't know. I'm trying to think about like where to Aaron's point, like where am I funneling them to? I'm funneling to my website or my featured section or something, right? And so I don't know, a random beach picture or a mountain picture or something like that. I don't know. Just I don't know if it's converting for me.
Aaron, what do you got?
I mean, I couldn't agree more. Like, I don't think anyone starts posting on LinkedIn for the fun of it. You know, I think we're all here for a reason. So calling that out makes sense. But for me, I do the same. I think I sort of have a call to action. So my banner at the minute, it's basically, again, sort of rehashing the headline, like the desired outcome that I help people do. But then I have the call to action of join my free community or check my website or go to this link, just to give people a place to go towards. I think the biggest thing with your profile is, as Darren's just said, always funneling it to somewhere, having sort of a high leverage thing for you to push people towards. Because a lot of people, they'll get impressions, but where are you funneling that to? It's all about revenue at the end of the day. So we need to be pushing them down there.
Yeah, and yours is so good because it's like, if you're prospecting, you're on Sales Navigator, you're DM and CROs and VPs of sales, and they go to your profile, the first thing that they're going to see is Deal, Gong, Zoom Info, and Salesforce. Your logo's up at the top. Like it's authority right to the point, right? I should probably do that on mine, but I don't.
Yeah, exactly. Because again, it's just sort of rehashing who I've worked with, like all the reps at these big companies. So again, it's just building authority in my niche, then call into what I help them do, specific outcome, then the call to action, like do this thing. So yeah, I think there's a few aspects to it.
So, and some people are asking what this section is. So let me share my screen and show y'all what it is real quick. So on LinkedIn, as you see here, right, we have what he's talking about, trusted reps by at this stage, which is cool. And then this is the featured section. So you can add, I think, up to 5, I think 6. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's what it is. But that's the thing as well. And so you'll see these 3, right? So they got the strategy call, right? You can book it there. It goes wherever it needs to go. Here's the community that he was talking about. And then here's the free one. So this is the featured section. So you all can start adding those different components as well, if you want to. So
the way to do it, just so y'all know, is like if you have a post, or you can actually feature a certain post by clicking the 3 little buttons at the top of the post, or you can go actually add in a feature like to a link or something. So there's multiple different ways you can feature things.
Yep. So that's what that looks like for those who are wondering where it's at and access that button. So, we have some profiles that people put in here. We're going to look at them and walk them through. But obviously, the main reason that you have your profile optimized is to obviously get meetings. So for both of you, how are you going about on LinkedIn and actually getting meetings? Is it like, I know Darren walks in the middle of the traffic to get meetings and do videos. Like, is it like what are we doing here? Voice notes, text. Like, what are y'all doing to get meetings? How are you going about it?
Go ahead, Aaron. Take a stab at it, and then I'll follow up.
Cool. Yeah. So in terms of the biggest thing for me, like again, I'm constantly testing. I've tried videos, tried voice notes, tried messages. On a recent sort of like campaign or mini campaign, it's like 11%, which is, I've actually taken this from Darren, funny enough, where a lot of people say pitch slapping's bad, but he said a bad pitch slap is bad. Like you can pitch slap if it's good. Is that right or am I wrong? Like, you
No,
did
you're
say
totally
that,
right. I'm like, I pitch all day long, man. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So what I did is, for example, the people who engage with my content, that was my trigger. So what I do personally as my biggest play for messaging is people who've already engaged with me. I call that out, then I make a hypothesis of what could be a focus for you. I go into the pains of that hypothesis, go into the social proof of people who I've helped, what I've helped them achieve, and then have the call to action from there to start a conversation and take it further. That's like the most common thing for me. You can do it in a text format, video format, voice notes. There's tons of ways to deliver it, but that's like the same structure what I do.
Yeah, I'd say the number one way I've booked meetings, right, like currently, is using other people's testimonials about me. So it's taking me out of the process, right? And so when people make a recommendation or they have a testimonial, I'm sharing that, and then I'm capturing those people that engage with that piece of content and bringing them into my funnel. So from a B2B side of the house, though, right, this is going to sound like I'm not a good seller when I say this, but I want you to realize that I've sold into the C-suite and VP level of Fortune 500 for the last 4 years. The VP of organizational development or the VP of marketing at Coca-Cola, Home Depot, and DuPont, they don't give an absolute darn about me as a person. They don't care. All they care about is that I've identified their pain and I have a solution to make them a better leader and to look like a hero inside of Coca-Cola, Home Depot, and DuPont. And so when I'm coming to that like conversation with a DM, I'm not like, hey, I'd love to have, 5 or 10 minutes to talk to you about like what Darren McKee Co can do for your business. It's like, no, like I was deep in your earnings call and Tony mentioned that this was happening with your supply chain and like I can fix that. They don't get messages like that. And so when you pitch that way, like you were talking about 11% is insane, Aaron. Right now I'm at like 4 for 20 on my outreaches on to my target buyers on LinkedIn, whether it be email or DM. So like it can be a long email. It doesn't have to be short. It just has to be good. Right. And so my old CEO, Jessica Wolf, she used to always tell me like, hey, is this fine or great? I didn't hire you to be fine. I hired you to be great. And that's the moment I don't click send unless it's great.
That's it. That's the webinar. But the thing is like, but it's actually a good point. I think a lot of people don't think about the relevancy of what they're sending and how that's going to correlate with someone who would in return respond to that thing. This is a very, very small detail, is any email that you write or messaging that you have, read it out loud. I know that sounds wild, but read it out loud and be like, does this sound like me? Does this even make sense? Right? Like I do that a lot. And then also like jargon. So this is a new thing I've been doing, which is I'll write it out like free form. And then as I edit it, if there's any words in there that just like jargon, and y'all know what jargon is, like there's words that we use sometimes like this hyperbolic solution. It's like, what the heck is a hyperbolic solution? Right? Like what are we talking about? Right. So I always put my emails and be like, hey, like, is there any jargon in here to clean it up? Like if I'm not making any sense, just a tip for everybody to do that. But I think that's what you have to be thinking about is like how to do that. And Darren, actually talk about that because I actually do that a ton from a founder level. Like even when I'm testing new messaging, I think we all here, even though we know the craft, you always are saying, hey, does this even make sense, right? As you're creating, especially as you've gone off on your own, how are you setting it up with friends, being like, hey, like real quick, like, am I even heading in the right direction?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like hypercritical right now. And so I'm going to talk about like being inside of a big business and being a seller first, because there's some of us in the room. Like if you're reaching out to a VP of revenue or a VP of sales or a CMO or a VP of finance, send your outreach message to your CFO. Send your outreach message to your CMO and say, hey, like, would you respond to this or no? And they're going to say no. And then they're going to write it back and be like, this is what I would respond to. That's what you need to be sending. You have your ICP literally inside of your business, but I guarantee many of you have never sent a prospecting email to your own CFO and asked them for feedback. Right now, from a founder perspective, like I just have a bunch of founder friends and I'm like, hey, is this any good or not? And they're like, no, it's terrible. Retry. And then I've that's just life. But please don't just send one out because you think it's great.
Yeah, that's the piece there. Aaron, do you do something similar? I know you obviously have your community, and you're probably learning a lot from what they give you feedback on. How are you making sure like the messaging that you have is heading in that direction? I've seen some of your work that you have as well. I know you're continuously fine tuning.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just the constant testing of it as well. Like I literally just A/B test everything, and like Darren said, it's what's great to the prospect. I think as sellers, a lot of the times we're sort of selfish with how we approach it. We think about us, we think about the incredible things we've done instead of positioning it as what are they struggling with? Like what's the cost of inaction to them and how can we help their life with their KPIs? So how I do it is, again, for the different personas, I just really understand like what do they do in their day to day? Like what does their life actually look like? And I think, again, Darren, I think you made a post about this where it's like read books that your personas read, like talk the language they talk, like know their world. So when you send them a message, you can resonate to them because it's not about us; it's all about them and speaking how they do.
Oh, dude, that was the massive. Like, if you hear anything from me on this webinar, I was a solid B+ player for years in sales. Like I was never on the leaderboard, but I was never on a PIP, right? Like I was right in the middle. I was making good money, but like nobody really cared about me. I was reading all about BAN, MedPick, and sales strategies, and every book that you could think of. And then I was like, you know what? I'm tired of these damn things. And I started reading the books that my buyers were reading. So I picked up the IO psychology books. And I was asking my buyers what they were reading. The moment that I started doing that, man, I was top of the leaderboard because I could have conversations with my buyers about what they were reading versus like, they don't give a crap how I put them through the discovery funnel. They care that I know about like the tipping point in IO psychology. And that's when everything changed for me.
That's I think a really good call for everyone listening in. Like we will give you, we're about to go into profiles. So if you all have any questions, throw them in the Q&A, we'll answer them, but we're about to actually start breaking down people's profiles. So just brace for that as we're gonna have some fun here. But what Darren said is incredibly important. And I think most sellers, sales leaders, founders, whatever you are on this call, they completely miss this point is like, yes, we are going to provide tips and frameworks and all these things. You can go on YouTube, you can go on LinkedIn and find the best frameworks. But the best thing that you can do is figure out what your customers are saying and where they live. Like I redid mine in the last couple of weeks because like, all right, cool. I bought new books. I have a whole thing of podcasts and I'm like, these are the only things I'm going to listen to. Why? Because like when I'm in conversations, I can speak the language and they're going to be like, oh, okay. Like what this person's making sense. Like they get me versus like, here's the question I have to ask because my sales leader told me to. And then they're going to know that. Like, they're going to sniff you out. And then like, it's not going to be the conversation you want. So let's answer this question. We're going to go to the profiles. So the first question here is, so Jordan's saying, I've had success building rapport and making connections on LinkedIn using humor and persistence. So Jordan, shout out to you being funny because most people aren't. So that's good. But I'm struggling when it comes to converting those friendly, engaged contacts into actual prospects. I feel like I'm missing something in my prospecting approach. What do you think are the key shifts in strategy I need to make to turn these into business opportunities? Who wants to take a stab at this?
Yeah, I can go. I used to get friend zoned a lot in sales. One of the things that changed for me is I started putting this one line in the top of my pretty much every email or every DM that I send. And it's like, hey, I'm going to be extremely straightforward here because I know how busy you are. Period. And then I go into my actual pitch, right? Like, I know you don't have time. Like, so you're honoring their time up front, instead of being like, you know, hey, I'd love to learn more about what's going on inside. Just like, hey, listen, like I've done my research. Here's my account plan. Like, I'm happy to share it with you. I know everything about your business that you could hire me. And I want to chat with you about how I can help. And here's how we did it with, you know, Keurig if you're going into Dr. Pepper, right? Like there's things that you want to tackle, but just being upfront and honest that like I always say too, like I'm proud to be in sales, man. Like it's like you have a problem, I have a solution. Let's get to it.
Aaron, how do you feel?
Yeah, I think the biggest reason a lot of people get I think the biggest reason that like people get friend zone is because of how they start the messaging. Like they'll just say something random like, hey, I don't know, let's say the prospect's been posting about a trip they were on. They'll just talk about that. So they'll be like, hey, the trip looked incredible. Where did you go? Then the prospect's like, oh, it was great. I went to Italy. Then the next message, the rep's like, by the way, do you want to buy my software? And it's just, there's no link between the two. It's
Speaking
like,
of Venice, that's where we were founded.
I hate it, like despise it. Yeah. But when people message me and they're like, hey, Aaron, how are you doing? I'm just like, please just don't, because I know that you're going to try to transition it into a pitch. So I think like Darren said, just be honest, like just be upfront that, you know, I've done my research. Here's why I'm reaching out. If you're getting friend zoned, it's because you're not like starting a conversation that looks like a sales conversation. So they think you're just talking, and that's why you struggle with the transition.
Yeah, that's so good, Aaron. I always ask myself, even today, like to this day, as I'm prospecting, I ask myself, I say, do I have the right to email this person? And if I don't have the right to email that person, I'm not going to message them.
That's real. And then I agree in the same vein. It's like I think I definitely have fallen victim to, I just call it buddy messaging. It's just like, yo, what up? I saw you on this thing. And it's like, okay. Like it doesn't end up going anywhere. You have maybe some good conversations, but it doesn't go anywhere. So what you actually are there for. I feel like it's an interesting time on LinkedIn where a lot of people are like, well, don't pitch, don't do anything. I think to a degree, we all know you have to be doing some level of DMs to get in front of people. You just have to make sure that you're relevant. And I love what Darren's talking about. Like, do I even have the right to send this? Have I done the research? Would this actually be relevant to the person? These are all things that you want to make sure that you're doing. And I've definitely found that just like by being direct is the key, right? And saying, hey, like, this is the reason why I reached out. I've done this research. Here's the thing. And if they don't respond, you know, it is what it is. But I'd rather be direct with people than not, because I would want the same. I don't like when people waffle around in the DMs, because like I know what's about to happen. Yeah. I don't have time to be waffling around. Like, just tell me what you want.
You just know the true intentions as well. Like you just know it. You know they're going to pitch you in a minute anyway, and that's why it's just hurts even more.
Yep,
I agree, man.
So let's get into some profiles. So Nico, if you're here, we're going to go to your profile. If you want to add some commentary as we go through these, you definitely can. We might not be able to go through every single profile, but we'll try our best. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, everybody should be able to see the screen. If you can't, let me know, but everyone should be able to see it. So the way we're going to do it is we're just going to walk through. I'll zoom a little bit in here so everybody can see. So we're going to go to the first three things, which is like profile picture. We're going to go to the headline here. We're going to talk about this, and then we're going to talk about this as well. And we're going to let the two panelists like really break this down. So, okay, y'all, you see what's going on here. You see what's happening. And if you need me to scroll down and look at other things to give your feedback, let me know. But what feedback would you give right off rip right here?
I mean, if he's trying to if he's doing his profile for prospecting, then I wouldn't have, like we spoke about earlier, sales manager at company name at the start. I just don't see the point in that. I'd go more into what they help their prospects achieve. So helping X achieve Y, like that's the simplest way to do it. I think the profile picture's like okay from what I can see. It's pretty zoomed out, but I think a good headshot makes a difference. So it's not the worst I've ever seen, but yeah, I'll let Darren share what he thinks as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think I can kind of tell that's a windmill, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So renewable energy is important. So I think you're tying those two things together, which is great. But sales manager at ONU Energy, AI, renewable energy buying, like I have no idea to Aaron's point, like what you do. So go ahead and just tell me. And then the biggest thing when we look at revenue is just like, man, like start connecting with way more people. You got to get that up so you can get seen more, so people actually see that windmill and what you do. The picture's fine. Like I don't know. You look great. That shirt looks awesome. Your hair looks great. I'd come a little bit closer just so I can see your face. Because what happens on LinkedIn is you start to recognize faces, and that will help you engage more. Like that's why I always wear a hat, because like people see the hat and they think it's me. Sometimes it's not, and then they still engage. Like, you know what I mean? So just like get your thing. I think that shirt could be your thing, to be honest.
This shirt is vibey. I don't know what it is, but I'm a huge fan of the shirt right now.
Great.
Nico's got the vibes. All right, so let's so we're good here. Let's scroll down and okay, so there's nothing here in the we have a couple posts that he's done, but there's nothing here in the featured section. So anything y'all want to comment on here, and here's the experience. So I'll put it right here because there's a couple things I know y'all could talk about.
One thing I want to say is reposting posts. Like this is the biggest thing I see with reps at companies. Like 99% of the time, they don't post anything. They just repost either what their company's posting or what their CEO's done or what these random people have done. I'm personally not a big fan of like reposting company posts or just what your CEO's saying, because it just looks like a lifeless profile. You know, like it just looks hollow. Like Darren said, have your thing. Like be you, be authentic, have something about you. If you're just reposting, anyone can do that. And this sort of links more to content, but I think the biggest thing with content is how just actually telling people what you've been able to do for prospects, what results you've got. Like just have something about you so people want to follow you and your journey and go from there. So I'm not a big thing for reposting.
Yeah, I would agree. I think reposting can be fine as long as it's your own post, not reposting with thoughts. Like actually reading this lady's, post that you reposted and sharing your thoughts about like what are happening with this in a new post, right? So really taking what she said and redoing it in your words, right? So when marketing gives you a blog, read it, think about it, tell a story about it, right? Don't just share the blog, right? I think that's the really important part. And so just give you all one thing that I tell every single person I coach. So if you want to post 4 times in a week, you can post 1, which is career, like something that happened in your career, a moment that mattered, a failure, or success. Number 2 is a product or a testimonial or a case study. Tell a story about that. Number 3 is like something that has nothing to do with work whatsoever. You at the beach, you and your forerunner, you riding a horse, you doing something in a really cool shirt that you're wearing above in that photo. And then the 4th thing is a collaboration, shouting someone out, doing something really cool with another creator. You do those 4 things every week and like you'll dominate.
Easy enough. And so those are the things you can do. I agree on the repost. You got to be mindful of that. Anything else on this profile you want me to go down and share and go over from y'all's perspective that you look for? Those are typically the main things that I typically look for when I give feedback, but anything that y'all want to dive into that you typically feedback on.
On the experience part?
Experience part, I can go down the recommendations. Anything else you want to chop it up on?
I don't think there was an about section here.
No, there's not. There isn't.
So like fill out your about section. I'll be honest with y'all. I book the majority of my calls with like top prospects via what they have in their about section. Like this guy said he was an avid Ford Mustang fan last week. So you know what? My subject line was something about a Ford Mustang and what I want to do for them. And the meeting's set, right? And so like your about section is who you are. Like it's important. Go ahead and fill it out.
Aaron, anything you want to add before we go on to the next person?
I think that's another part we said is just the featured stuff, right? Like even if it's just a link to your website or anything like that, just have something there, because again, it's just quite bare in terms of what's on the profile. So yeah, like Darren said, flesh out the about, add a featured section, and be in a good spot.
Okay, Nico, hopefully that was helpful. I saw you there in the chat, and let's go to the next person. So we have Tori here. We're going to start the same way. We're going to go over the profile picture. You got this cover photo here and the headline. So I'll let you all, again, since we'll have you start since we had Darren start last time. Let's give us your feedback.
Yeah, so the book a meeting with me as a link, I quite like that. I don't know about what Darren thinks with this, but for me personally, like I quite like having a direct sort of call to action. I'd maybe frame it a bit different, like book a strategy call or whatever there, but at least you're using it, right? And again, it's just another way for your prospects to click through, make their life a bit easier. So yeah, I quite like the link. because I think a lot of people don't use them. And then in terms of the actual banner for like the picture, Hunter Hamilton, best staffing. Again, I think it's better than a random picture. Like having a company banner with at least some info about it is better than nothing. I think it can be improved if it's more specific in terms of what you achieve. But again, I think that's better than having some random image. So yeah, I think those 2 points are good from what I can see.
Yeah, this is pretty good, Tori. Also, shout out to H-Town. I grew up in Victoria, not too far away from there. So we can talk Texas hip hop one day. But anyway, off topic. I think this is fine. I think your picture's great. It does look, you might be in the car. And so what I would do is like just get a little bit clearer of a background, because I don't want the background to take away from your face. That's really, really important. And so, I mean, you do it with an iPhone. You don't need to pay anybody to do it. Just get it really, really sharp. Hunter Hamilton is great. Again, subject line, right? Like, I just don't know who you work with. Like connecting talent and businesses, cool. That's every company, every person in the world. Tell me a little bit more. Like, what's your niche? Who do you support? Why do you do it? You know, I helped fractional CFOs land jobs at the top 50 companies in Houston, Texas. I don't know, whatever that thing may be, just tell us what it is. I always think about if you're sitting on the back porch with a bunch of your friends having a glass of rosé and a glass of whiskey, like what would you tell them you do? That's what I put in my subject line. Not what we think everybody wants to see on LinkedIn.
All valid advice there. So making the adjustments on the headline, and we go from there. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. So we do have an about section. So I'm gonna float this over for y'all so you can see it. Okay, and then we have a feature section too. So let's go in the about section so y'all can read this real quick or just highlight, but it's here. Anything y'all would modify in this about section, I can zoom in a little bit so y'all can see. Anything in this about section you would change. Top skills, I always find this interesting as well if we want to dive into it, but curious on y'all's perspective.
Bro, I've never looked at the top skills before.
Yeah, I know. That's why I ask it. Like, there's top skills used to be a banger back in the day. To be fair, like it used to be the one back in 2018. Like top skills was a thing. I think it's definitely changed a lot. It's changed a lot.
Tori, I think this is cool. I think this is your company. I think you should add some stuff about you in here, because that's what's going to make people want to work with you. What I'm trying to teach people to pivot from is I don't want you to be somebody that like, oh, Tori works at Hunter Hamilton. I want people to say, oh, Hunter Hamilton, that's the company that Tori works for. And so building that brand of who you are, right, to lead. So just add some more context into like who you are as a person, hobbies, I don't know, whatever you want in there.
And I'm probably going to sound like a nerd for saying this. Sorry, I was just going to say with the about.
Okay.
But like I'm so like keen on formatting and making it easy to read. Right. So like breaking up text, using bullet points, just making it simple for people to scan through. So like Darren said, make it about you, but then make it easy for people to read and just understand what you're saying. Because when I just see large blocks of text, like instantly I'm just like, oh, it looks like a novel when it could just be short. So again, I think talk about you, but just make it quick, simple points where it's easy for people to scan through. I mean, that's copywriting in general, but yeah, it applies to the about.
Okay, so feature section. Y'all were talking about this last time. It's here. Tori has it. So let's talk about it.
I like it. I think she's putting her really popular post on here, which are great. So this can be seen as like in the marketing world. I treat some of these as like evergreen content that I always want to be seen, right? And so like when I launched my business, that's the first one you see on my page, and it gets engagement every day, right? And that's my goal, is to continue to get that engagement. As long as it's generating revenue to me, like, I mean, Morgan knows this, but I had a post get 9 million impressions and it was about a dishwasher. And like that generated no revenue for me. And actually it was the biggest disaster ever. and engagement to follower ratio tank, right? So like this, I'm going off on a tangent. Don't try to go viral on LinkedIn, y'all. Please don't. If you do try to go viral, making sure it's about your business and not a freaking dishwasher. So anyway,
you should have started a dishwasher business. Clearly, you didn't pick the right.
Yeah, that's what it's telling you.
That's what it's telling you. You picked the wrong business.
20,000 followers over, 20,000 followers overnight. Not one of them is ever engaged again in my content. So anyway, I think this looks great. I don't know that I would change much other than making sure one actually gets to what Aaron's going to say, like gets to you on your calendar or a meeting.
Yeah, for me, that's the biggest thing. And again, like I love Darren's approach, and I'm just such like a nerd for getting people to the pages where they get in the funnel. Like I view LinkedIn as sort of top of funnel to get my prospects in, so then I can engage with them after, right? So for me, I would personally, but you have the link in the top, right? You have the book a meeting with me link, so you're doing it. So I think this is fine for the featured because you're still doing it. If you just had posts, then I'd for sure add a link. But yeah, I think that's fine.
And
this is a pretty darn good profile.
Anything, I mean, and then there's even stuff inside of here, which is like most people don't do that. Anything y'all would add here? I always say add some media here for case studies. That's the only thing I always call out here just to get some visuals. But anything else y'all want to add?
I don't even have stuff in that.
Yeah.
Really?
So I don't know. If somebody gets that, they're already gonna buy. I don't know.
I think
you're like, yeah, if they don't look at the feature section, you're done.
Yeah, but I agree with him. Like I generally don't talk about like the experience or like your education section or your skill section that much. I think the main thing is having like a great banner, great headline, great picture, and then ideally content to support it, so then people trust you. Like that's the sort of gist of it. So yeah, and I think as a rep, it's a bit hard, but
I don't think you need to. I don't think you need to take it out. The only thing I would say is that if you go inside of your experience, you can add in media. So if they need an extra validation point beyond, let's say, the feature section, and they go down and experience, they're like, what's going on? I have like photos and case studies of things we've done if they want to click in. So yeah, that's what I would say. But here's the interesting part. So there's a keynote that I'm doing in February, and the main reason that they wanted me to do it is because when they scrolled down to my experience, it was literally a sentence that I said. So I was just like, what? Like I was shocked. I was like, this is the main reason that stood out. They're like, oh yeah, that sentence resonated with us, and then we looked at everything else, and then we wanted to come to the keynote. So that's why I was like, all right, well, I guess people do look at it. So well, right? It's interesting.
I think that works, obviously, the sentence, but then as well, they see you posting content.
Yeah,
they see your
the add-on
banner. They see it's like everything else compound. So then that's just like what tips them over. But I think for you, like if you just had a bare profile, then just the one sentence, like, hey, whatever it was, would that have booked it? No. Hey, here we go. This is the closing line in the experience, but would that have worked? Probably not. But it's like the nurture you've had with the content, you know.
It was a combination of it all. But it was just interesting that they said that. Trust me, I was shocked by it because I was like, what? But Tori, I think this is a great profile. I think you have edits you need to do. I want to move on so we can get to as many people as possible. Like I said, we're not going to everyone, but we're going to continue to go. And we're going to go to Brooke. But real quick, I just want to make sure everybody in the chat, let us know if you found this to be helpful so far. In the chat, let us know. We would love to get your feedback and see what's going on. But here, now we're going to dive into Brooke's profile. We'll let I think the gist, I know where the feedback is going to go with this because I think it's very similar to what we just said. But if you two want to dive into the feedback, and then we'll go from here.
I think this is actually pretty decent. Like I want to have a conversation with you, build better apps faster. I know exactly what you do. I love that you have yoga instructor in there because I'm like, oh, Brooke is a person. The part that throws me off and where I probably wouldn't like accept your connection request, or I probably wouldn't like engage with you in like a prospective conversation, is because it says Brooke S. period. I don't know who you are. And so for me to like think I have a conversation, I know you like yoga, but I don't know who you are. That's just a setting in your profile. that is like first name, last initial, I think. Right. And so just like I'm a big fan of having it full, just because there's so much spam on the platform right now. Like if there's anything that looks a little bit not real to me, I'm automatically out. And so not that you don't look real, it's just like the Brooke S throws me off for a second. But again, it's pretty good. I like how the picture fades into the background of the banner, and like you worked that in there. I can tell you care. There's a lot of stuff in here that's good.
Yeah, and just in terms of me adding on, that is what company banners should look like where it's the company, but it's not just saying, yeah, just Apple. It's like, okay, cool, but like, what do you do? Like actually explaining achieve desired outcome, and that is the desired outcome, like build better apps faster. So that for company banners is like incredible. And again, like another thing I'd swap is where you've got empowering developers with in-app communication tools. That's great, but I'd put that first and take out the sales dev rep. Because again, from a prospect seeing your profile, if you send them a connection, it's sort of like, do you know, in an email where you have like the preview text, the initial part of the email, what you can see, your headline is like that on LinkedIn. Like not all of it will be in there when you send a connection, just part of it. So whatever you have at the front is like the start of your preview text. So you're instantly just putting the sales dev rep instead of the empowering, the desired outcomes you're doing. So I'd put that bit first as well.
Okay. So I think it's good advice so far. So let's go down to the about section. Okay, we actually can do both of these. We have the about section and we also have the featured section at the same time. So you guys can feedback on both.
The first thing that makes me so excited as a seller and a revenue leader is that like you have pricing listed in your feature section, like audio and visual chat API. You have the pricing page on there, which tells me like you're ready to go to bat. And I cannot stand when I'm trying to buy a product and I can't see pricing. So like I think you're going to win massively with your prospects by having that up there. I can't really read the about section. You got the personal in there. Like this is great. What I would love to see though, really quick, scroll up. If you can look at content, I'd love to see if there's any yoga content.
Yeah, hold on. Let's see.
Brooke, it's such a part of your life that
here.
Your buyers are going to they're going to resonate. And if you don't think that they are, do this one thing. Go to the search bar later, type in yoga and like the ICP that you go after, and you'll be able to pull all of the people that are in your ICP that also have yoga in their profile. That's where I would start prospecting.
It looks like all the content is streamed. There's no content on yoga.
Get some yoga out there.
Yeah.
And that's like sort of linking back to what we were saying before. Just like you've already done such a good job to show you're human in your headline with the yoga stuff, but then your content is like lifeless because it's just reposts of company posts, right?
Yeah.
So what I do is like what Darren's saying, make specific content, like show who you are. Obviously you can make, I call it like middle of funnel, which is like educational content for your buyers. So just giving them, tips and tricks on how to better their life. So you can have the educational stuff, but then also have the human stuff in there as well. But yeah, I'd sort of drop the reposting of company posts and post your own stuff. Show who you are, how I content.
Okay.
It's a great profile.
This is a good, the yoga is there for sure. The 3 bullet points, I like this, super clean, easy, got some skills in there. I like this profile. It's good. I think y'all bring up a good point. Yoga, like some yoga and sales content. I don't know. There's something here.
There's potential. There's room to work.
You might be doing sales offsites where you teach yoga in the next year, making $400,000 a year for all we know.
I see the vision because there isn't. I don't think is there anyone in sales doing yoga? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure this is untapped. I'm pretty sure this is untapped.
There's a couple of dudes, but that's about it.
Brooke, there you go. Wide open. All right, y'all. We got 11 minutes left. I'm going to keep going. We're going to go to Ian. So first of all, before y'all even say anything, this is my favorite profile picture so far. This is just the aura of this profile picture. But I'll let y'all give feedback. And Brooke, you are welcome.
First off, Ian, I would book a meeting just for your mustache.
That's
Like,
what I'm
is fire.
saying. It's just like
Fire. That is cool. I respect.
I gotta
it.
talk to the guy.
I gotta speak to him. I gotta get tips and tricks. But no, like on a real, like it's a good profile picture because it's clear headshot of you. And like Darren was saying, like get people to think about you. When they see the mustache, they're like, oh, that's Ian. I know Ian. But again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but the headline, business development officer, like your buyer doesn't care. What do you do for them? Talk about their pains, talk about what you do. Not to sound rude, but like they just don't care. And then again, the banner for safer trade, I just don't. Yeah, it's okay. I think as company ones go, it's okay, but it's just not that specific. I'm still a bit like, I don't fully understand. But yeah.
Hold on, he's asking for the refresh.
Oh, he's made some updates.
Updates in real time. Oh my goodness. Oh, wait. Wait. That was fast. All right. So now y'all can see it again, and now you have to give the feedback.
How did you do that so fast?
The speed of this is insane. Okay, this is wild. Okay, so now here we go.
Like that headline now, and I'll just say this and let Darren go, but that headline is so much better. Expanded in Texas.
So good.
Again, like the desired outcomes are increase sales, reduce risk, unlock working capital. It's good because you're just talking about who you help and what you help them do. So yeah, I like that now. Much better than before.
Just because I think Ian is like can take feedback pretty strong and good. I'll give you a little bit more that I don't normally give to other people. I would rework the words unlock working capital to where an 11th grader could understand it. And because you're really writing to like an 11th grade level on LinkedIn. And so unlock working capital. I'm decently smart. Actually, I barely graduated high school, but like, I don't really know what that means. So go ahead and just like throw it in GPT and say, rewrite this to where like a 7th grader or 8th grader, 9th grader can understand it. And then in real time, you'll probably do that in a couple of seconds and we'll refresh and it'll be really good. But other than that, man, this top part is really good. And this is the most Austin picture of all time. So I love it.
I love this revamp. Okay, so let's see what else he did. So let's keep going. So, okay, hold up. Let me see if I can. I know, Aaron, we talked about the repost that's there, but the about section, anything y'all have to comment on this one? Let me zoom back in so y'all can see a little bit. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's just talking about the company, not about him. You know, like you're an individual, so have a bit of personality in there. With the about, like, it's not something I've used that much, to be completely honest. Like, I only started posting a year ago. I've gone from like 200 connections last year to like 30K now, but I didn't go that in depth in the about. But I think just making it specific of who you are would help instead of just talking about the company. Because how I view LinkedIn as well, and I think this is important for reps because so many reps like tie everything they do to the company, but it's like, it's your LinkedIn. So it's yours. You're going to take it wherever. So make it about you, not just the company.
Yeah. To that point, y'all, like it's scary sometimes, like to go start just posting about yourself or, not posting about your company. Right. Like, I mean, full transparency, like I've gotten canned for my LinkedIn content before. Right. And so it's like, just make sure that like what you're doing and, that your team is cool with it, right? Like, and there's psychological safety there. Some of your leaders are posting content as well. But at the end of the day, it is your profile. And like, it does, as Aaron said, it does go with you everywhere. You don't want to be all your company your whole life. And then all of a sudden, like, I mean, the average tenure for a BDR and AE right now is like less than 18 months. You ain't going to be at this company in 18 months. Like, I'm just being honest.
You won't. That's the facts.
It's funny because if you look at how long he's been at the company, scroll down. I think that's quite funny.
Ah,
you're on the way out, Ian. You're leaving. No, but no, it's so true. It's like just make it about you.
That's too funny. Anything in the future section y'all encourage him to add because he doesn't have one here?
Nah, you're probably a really good seller, having spent time at TriNet. I was at Insperity for a long time, and I'm sure you're really good at your job. So this is pretty darn good, man.
yeah, it's a great
Cool.
profile. Maybe just a link to the website or something, just because why not? But yeah.
All right, we have 5 minutes left. Probably don't have time to go through a profile. So if you sent yours over, again, like I said, we try to get through as much as we can. As we wrap up in the last 6 minutes, where can people, I'm assuming it's gonna be LinkedIn, but where can people find you to? And then any like rapid fire questions people want to put in the Q&A, now's the time. We'll try to get through it. And then we'll wrap up today's session.
Yeah, so for me, LinkedIn is the best place. That's where you can find me. So just Aaron Rees on LinkedIn. It's the only place I'm at. All my stuff's on there in the featured section with all the links. So if you ever want to check out any of that, feel free.
Yeah. I wake up in panic sweats sometimes thinking that LinkedIn's going to go away. So you can go to my website and find me at darrenmckee.co or on LinkedIn. But yeah, go to my website because I know I'm always going to have that. So
I will tell you, Darren, when my account got hacked and we recovered it, it was way worse than that. So just, you do not want to go through that feeling. I'm gonna just tell you right now.
yeah, happens.
It's wild.
That happened to me. I got banned for 2 days just for no reason. So it's really scary. It's not fun.
It's not fun, dude. Okay, so real quick, Hugo wants to know, Darren, what are the 4 weekly posts? What is going on there?
All right. So you've got life, like moments that matter, like your first job or why that was successful, or graduated high school, getting into something, or a moment that mattered. That's the first one, is a story. Second one is a product, a testimonial, webinar that you've been on, something like informative for your prospective buyer. And then the third one is like life, like a hobby, something that has nothing to do with work to make people connect with who you are as a human. And then the last one is a collaboration post. So like me shouting out Morgan. Actually, if you go look at my post this morning, it was me shouting out a guy named Richmond Taylor. That's a collaboration post, bringing 2 creators together to really like expand on your reach. So those are the 4 that I focus on a lot.
As well as a caveat. Apologies. I was just gonna say for my content side, like again, we were talking about this in the pre-show, right? But like our approaches to LinkedIn, they're quite similar but very different in terms of how we do it. So in terms of like prepping my post, I do it all the week before, and I view content as a funnel. So I have 3 stages to the funnel, where top of funnel is your lead magnet, giving something away for free, what's valuable, what your ICP actually wants, like what solves an issue. So for me, it's like email templates, call scripts, anything like that. Then middle funnel, which is educational content. So this is just giving away value in terms of breakdowns, tips and tricks, processes to help your prospect. And then the last stage is bottom funnel. And that's for converting, which is posting your case studies with a call to action to either DM you or book a call. But bottom of the funnel and top of the funnel only work if you have authority, which comes from the educational content in the middle. But yeah, that's how I do it.
Yeah. I love that. One last question here. It's actually from Tori. If we can answer this, what are your thoughts on sharing side businesses? I know obviously we've all done that until we've gotten to our main thing. She does skincare and wellness, but doesn't really usually share it on there. Or should there be other social platforms she should sell that on?
I think apologies, I'll go real quick.
Darren's just like post. I know. I already know Darren's answer.
Because this is what I did, right? Where like your LinkedIn is yours. It's wherever you take it. So post about the stuff you want to do, but don't. Yeah. So for me, like when I was at Revolut as an AE, like obviously that's fintech, but I was posting sales tips and tricks because my goal was to start something within the sales space. So if your goal or if what you enjoy is within the skincare stuff, post about that. Start connecting with those people as well, because it's your LinkedIn. That's my opinion. Let Darren go.
I have a 20-second clip. Listen to this.
Like niches. I don't like the concept of niches because you are your own niche. Do you know how many marketing entrepreneur bros there are? Like a trillion. Boring. Nothing interesting about that. But you're a marketing entrepreneur bro, and you also.
Oh, somebody's calling me. Anyway, she says, like, you're a marketing entrepreneur, bro, but you also like cooking, but you also like yoga, but you also like skincare, but you also like these other things. You are your own niche. People want to do business with you, right? Like one of the things, if you're going to niche down, you're going to talk about one thing, you better be damn sure that that's going to be what you're selling in 2 years.
Yeah. That's why I throw in the video games, from time to time, because people know what it is, right? That separates everything apart. So, all right, y'all. Darren, Aaron, thank you so much for taking your time out of the day. There's a lot of things you could be doing, and you spent it with us, so we appreciate that. And we always do a giveaway at the end. We're gonna give it to Ian for your profile. So shout out to you. The team will email you on what that will be. But again, for both of you, thanks so much for taking the time. My hope is that everyone listening in now you move as fast as Ian did. in terms of getting feedback and actually like
He's
doing
already
stuff like
jumping
that.
the.
Yeah, he's out here. Ian's out
Emergency.
here. Ian's about to be going crazy. In 6 months, I'm telling you, he might be posting content like, oh, there was Ian. I'm not even shocked. Not even gonna be shocked. But again, appreciate all y'all. Yes, you will get the recording, and we'll see you all in the next one.
Peace.